Hi guys, Ryan from Mechanic.com.au, Australia's #1 mechanic community. And today we take a look at some of the most common misconceptions surrounding O2 sensors. One of the most commonly misunderstood conditions when it comes to O2 sensors is a misfire causing a cylinder to read rich. This is actually not the case. While yes, we do get a gut full of raw fuel out of that cylinder, because we've got no combustion event, we also get a heap of unburnt oxygen, which would actually cause our sensor to read lean. Remember, regardless of whether we're dealing with a wideband or a narrowband sensor, an oxygen sensor is doing just that, measuring oxygen. As the sensor sees a lean mixture, our short-term fuel trim ramps up and subsequently adds fuel. Narrowband O2 sensors operate on a scale of 0 to 1 volt. Wideband O2 sensors operate on a scale of 0 to 5 volts. In actual fact, this is not true. A wideband sensor works by always trying to hold its reading at lambda 1, so 14.7 to 1 on a petrol engine. And it tells how lean or rich we are by measuring how hard it has to work to keep that reading there. This is done by measuring a very small amount of current, not voltage. It measures how much current is required and which direction it's travelling in. Think of this like an engine idling. Let's say the engine's target idle speed is 1000 RPM. If that engine has a vacuum leak, the idle speed will be higher. In order to correct this back to 1000 RPM, the idle speed controller has to adjust itself. By measuring how far the idle speed controller adjusts, we can tell how far our idle was out. This is the same basic theory of how a wideband O2 sensor works. The 0 to 5 volt scale that we often see on our scan tools is generated purely for our interpretation. It doesn't actually exist. You will not measure this at the sensor. Remember, the computer measures current to determine mixture, not voltage. The tricky part here is that different manufacturers have a different simulated voltage for a stoichiometric mixture. For example, Toyota's usually 3.3 volts and Nissan's usually 1.5, so it's really hard to tell what a stoich mixture is. An easy way around this is to look for a parameter ID in live data called lambda or sometimes equivalence ratio. This essentially tells you if the engine is running at a stoich mixture, irrespective of what the manufacturer uses for their voltage. When I first started working with wideband sensors, I understood how they worked in terms of displaying mixture, but didn't really understand how they worked on a technical level, which really bugged me. So if you want to go a little deeper into how wideband sensors function, check out our article linked below where we talk about how the electrochemical pump and Nernst cells operate. This video is brought to you by our friends at Penrite, proudly Australian owned and operated for 90 years.